You've heard of agriculture, but today we're talking aquaculture. Hi there, I'm Jeff, and this is Plain English, where we help you upgrade your English with current events and trending topics. Today is lesson number 585, so that means JR, the producer, has uploaded the full content to plainenglish.com/585. Coming up today, there are farms on land, there are fish farms in the sea, and now there are fish farms on dry land too. We'll talk about how exactly that works and why in today's lesson. In the second half, I show you how to use the English expression put to use, and we have a song of the week. Before we get going, I wanted to remind you that we've released a new course in Plain English Plus, and it's all about how to use artificial intelligence in your English learning. If that sounds crazy, if that sounds too complicated, like you'll never understand it, relax. It's not. It's as easy as typing into a chat box. But you need to know what to type. You need to know what to ask it to do. And that's what our new course is all about. If you're a Plus member, you already have it. It's on your dashboard at the bottom of the page. If you're not yet a Plus member, now is a great time to join because you'll get all our new artificial intelligence and ChatGPT trainings the minute they're available, and we're adding more each week. So come join us at plainenglish.com/plus. Agriculture is the process of growing crops and raising animals on land with the specific purpose of producing food. But there is another way that humans produce their food, and that's called aquaculture. Aquaculture is farming only for fish. Instead of raising cattle on land, fish farms grow fish. The most traditional way to farm fish is called net pen farming. A net pen is like a floating cage, and it's in a natural body of water like a river or an ocean. In a net pen, water flows into and out of the pen, but the fish are trapped and stay in one area. There are sometimes outer layers of nets that prevent predator fish from entering the pen. Picture a giant mesh ball floating in the ocean, secured to the ocean floor with ropes. Inside the mesh ball is a mass of fish. The advantage to this approach is new fish can be grown in natural waters with the temperature, current, and nutrients that they're used to, only the fish can't escape. Fish farming has become very popular in the last half century. This new popularity coincided with a global increase in fish consumption. Today, the world gets about 17% of its animal protein from fish. Per capita, the world consumes 20 kilograms of fish per year. And since 2018, the majority of that fish has come from farms. But there's a problem with net pen farming. A lot of fish in a small area produce a lot of waste in a small area. Fish secrete ammonia through their gills. Too many fish, and the ammonia levels in a local waterway will be dangerously high. Fish also produce solid waste. That waste typically falls to the ocean floor where it can harm the ecosystem. Large concentrations of fish are also vulnerable to parasites and bacteria infections that can leak out into other fish populations. And the pens aren't perfect. In Washington state, about 260,000 farmed salmon escaped from a net pen, harming the natural population of fish in that area. That led the state to ban farming of many species of fish. A new approach, though, could make fish farming more environmentally friendly. And it's not happening in the ocean. It's happening on dry land. A fish farm on dry land is a building with tanks inside of it. And the newest tanks are sophisticated enough to mimic the conditions that fish would typically find in their natural environment. Farmed salmon, for example, can practice swimming against a current in a tank. The water in the tanks can be carefully calibrated with natural salts to mimic the saline conditions in the ocean. Temperature can be carefully calibrated too. Without annoying things like weather and unpredictable currents, farmed fish can grow in ideal conditions for their entire lives, raising productivity. Their diet and health can be carefully monitored with cameras. If the fish are too hungry or even too stressed, then small adjustments in temperature and food can improve their conditions. Many fish migrate. They hatch in one set of conditions, and as they grow into adulthood, they migrate to other conditions. For example, salmon hatch in fresh, calm water. As they grow into adults, they learn how to swim against the current. And only as adults do they move into salt water. An inland fish farm can mimic this migration too. As fish grow to maturity, they can be transferred to other tanks with other sets of conditions. Inland farming also solves the problem of waste. Waste from fish in tanks can be extracted. Instead of polluting a waterway, the waste can be separated from the water and put to use, generating renewable energy or as fertilizer for other crops. The water can be consistently monitored, treated, and recycled. Farmed fish in tanks require far less water than farmed fish in oceans or rivers. There's another benefit. Many species of fish are very picky. They need to be grown in specific conditions that are not found just anywhere. So with traditional net pen farming, fish are farmed near their local habitat and then shipped around the world. That shipping is often by plane. But if sophisticated tanks can mimic local conditions, then farms can be located closer to consumers, reducing the cost and environmental damage of shipping fish around the world. New land-based aqua farms are not cheap. They require a heavy investment in infrastructure, the tanks, the tubes, the feeding systems, the water treatment facilities. That all costs a lot of money. There are also different expenses. While a net pen farmer might have to spend money on shipping, on antibiotics, and might waste money with unconsumed food, a land-based farmer would have to spend money on utilities, salts, and equipment maintenance. It's early days for land-based aqua farms, and the industry is still finding its feet. Still, there's momentum. A facility called Salten Smolt opened in far northern Norway. The 7,000-meter building can produce 8 million juvenile salmon each year. And Iceland is breaking ground on an enormous facility that will use geothermal energy to power its production. Before this, I knew that fish were farmed, but I had no idea how it was done. I had no idea. I didn't know about net pens. I certainly didn't know about dry land farming. I was curious why so many articles talked about salmon and so few talked about other species of fish. There's a reason. Salmon are relatively expensive fish, so there's more room to save money than on a cheaper species. They're also very particular about their conditions, so the transportation savings are greater with salmon too. Now that made me wonder, if this works for salmon, a relatively expensive fish, then is it happening with lobster, a very expensive fish? It's not. Mature lobsters are cannibalistic. They'll eat each other if kept in small tanks. So to farm lobster, each would have to be kept in its own cage, and that raises the cost and complexity. Today's expression is put to use. When you put something to use, you take something or someone that's not doing anything and you make it do something good and valuable. You put it to use. Today's story was about fish farming. Fish produce solid waste. In net pens, the waste falls to the ocean floor where it can damage the local ecosystem. But on dry land farms, that's not the case. The farmers just extract the waste from the tanks. Then, what do they do with it? It's waste. It's not doing anything. It's unwanted. They could dig a hole and bury it, I suppose. They could burn it. I have no idea. I don't want to know what that smells like. But actually, they put the waste to use. It turns out that waste from fish farms can be used to produce methane gas and, from that, electricity. Now that's something that's useful. So they took this waste, which was not doing anything good, and they started using it to make electricity. They put it to use. They can also put this waste to use as fertilizer in hydroponic farms. You heard about that in lesson 417, where they grow plants that are not actually planted in soil. Fish farmers can take the waste from their fish and put it to use as fertilizer in hydroponic farms. A great way to use put to use is with skills. A lot of us have skills. We have abilities that we don't use. Let's say you work at an office job, but years ago you painted houses and did some light repair work. So you know how to install a ceiling fan, paint a room, put up drywall, maybe do some light carpentry. But that was a long time ago. You work in an office now. But you might put those skills to use by volunteering at a local school. So you have these skills. They're not doing anything for you at your desk job, but if you volunteer 1 day a month at a local school, you can use your skills to help with projects there. You can put your skills to use. Have you ever been to a party or an event and you see the party or event organizer running around, doing lots of errands, starting to get overwhelmed? Here's something you can say in that situation. Put me to use. I'm standing here doing nothing. I'm useless, milling about, chit-chatting with people. I hate idle chit-chat. Put me to use. Use my abilities. Tell me to, bring out some new chairs or tables. Collect the empty glasses, whatever. Put me to use. Give me something useful to do. Today's song of the week is Killing Me Softly with His Song by Roberta Flack. This is an interesting one. You've probably heard the main refrain of this song before. You might have heard a cover that came out not long ago. The writer of the song is named Lori Lieberman, and she wrote the song about the experience of watching another singer, Don McLean. And the lyrics go like this. I heard he sang a good song. I heard he had a style. And so I came to see him and listen for a while. Then she says, he was telling my whole life with his words, killing me softly with his song. So this song, Killing Me Softly with His Song, is really about someone watching another singer and being moved by the performance. The Roberta Flack version is the song of the week. And that's it. That's all for today's Plain English. I survived another science-based story. Congratulations to me for that. And congratulations to you for sticking with us for lesson 585. Remember, JR has uploaded the full content to plainenglish.com/585. And also remember that if you'd like to use ChatGPT and other artificial intelligence tools to upgrade your English, then come join us in Plain English Plus, where we are building out a special new course on artificial intelligence for English learning. The first modules are available now. The first one is about when to use ChatGPT and when to use Google Translate so that you can get the best results from your translations. The second module, and this is an interesting one, is all about the different ways you can ask ChatGPT to give you a translation. And it's more than just saying, translate this to another language. This is how we get embarrassing or incorrect translations. But with these tools, you'll be prepared to get the best possible translations out of ChatGPT. And that's the second topic in the course that's already available in Plain English Plus, called AI for Learning English. Now, if you're already a member, go to the bottom of your dashboard, you'll see it. If you're not yet a member, then you can join us at plainenglish.com/plus, Plus, and you will have instant access to all our great ChatGPT and AI resources in that course. That's all for today. We'll be back on Monday. See you then.